Hello, welcome to the second week of Lent. When I was a boy, usually sometime in the month of December, my father would receive a big box of chocolates from somebody at work, and that was always an adventure for all of us kids. The best ones were the boxes that if you open up the lid, you saw a listing corresponding to each piece of chocolate in the box of what was inside. Those made it easy, but sometimes we didn't get that kind, so we were very curious about what we would be eating, and many times we would take the piece of chocolate out of the box and we would turn it upside down and we would punch a hole in the bottom of it, and if it wasn't what we liked, we'd put it back before anybody saw us. This was something that caused my dad no end of frustration, as he would come and reach for a piece of chocolate and it was already explored by one of the kids. But it just points out the truth that even from the very beginning of our lives, we're already discerning and judging what we think is best. It's really how we've been created, isn't it? We've been given this faculty to discern and compare and contrast things, and so we're already judging from a pretty early age. And yet in today's gospel, Jesus says to us clearly, stop judging and you will not be judged. So what is it? Are we able to judge things, or is that an immoral thing against what Jesus asked us to do? Well, I hear about this quite a bit in confession when people will come, because it's troubling when we realize how judgmental we can become, and yet at the same time it's kind of part of how we've been created. So I think we want to look at the gospel and see those two paired right next to each other when Jesus says, stop judging and you will not be judged, stop condemning and you will not be condemned. In other words, that's the kind of judgment that the Lord is most concerned about, that we would look at someone's behaviors, and then we would condemn them after judging them, because the reality is that we can't help but judge. At the same time, I think that it also matters against which standard do we judge. So if the Lord has asked us to do something in this life, if He's asked us to love our neighbor, if He's asked us to care for the poor, then we certainly can compare and judge our own behaviors in comparison to those things. As far as what another person does, we leave the final judgment to the Lord. But at the same time, we can certainly lead others and encourage others to live a life more fully according to what Jesus has asked us to do. But in the end, we're not to condemn them. I think that's the heart of the matter. So today, as we marvel at how God has created us with a faculty for discerning and judging, we ask that the Spirit will guide us, that we might use those faculties to consider our lives in comparison to what the Lord asks us to do, and to guide others and encourage others along that way. So God bless you as we go forth today, seeking to follow closely after the Lord's ways.